morning, everyone, and welcome to our World Hour of Power. Here with Lady Pauline and my co-host, the Honorable Mayor of Suffolk Boulevard.
Oh my goodness!
God, yes,
Love that.
I know you love that. But today we're honored a special time because we have a very special guest, Dr. Anthony Andrews Jr., who is running
for assembly.
Right
here in Queens. Right here in Queens. Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much. It's good to be here, and thank you guys for making this a special time. My campaign is so congested with events and things, mostly me knocking on doors every day, like 7-8 hours a day. I really appreciate you making the time, making this a special time for me to come on and talk to the listeners. Honored to be here with Lady Pauline and the mayor of Suffolk Boulevard. Glenn, fantastic job you've been doing over the years with Suffolk Boulevard. Really have brought Suffolk Boulevard back to the forefront of Jamaica. You know, people talk about what's going on in Jamaica, and they talk about all the things that are happening right around here, the developments that are happening around Suffolk Boulevard. A lot of that has been attributed to you because Suffolk Boulevard was lost for a long time. So honored to be here with you and Lady Pauline to talk a little bit about this race.
But you have been doing wonderful stuff here in the community for years.
Working alongside Glenn and a lot of people in this community to try to improve the community of Jamaica, Rochdale Village, a little bit of Springfield Gardens the district has, and a tiny bit of Richmond Hill, which I've been working in over the years to make sure that we improve the quality of life of residents there also.
So what are your plans? What are you running based on? What are you going to be able to provide your constituents?
Well, I'll talk a little about some of the things I want to do and some of the things I see, right?
Okay.
So when you talk about plans, there are just some things that I see that need to be worked on in our community. There are a lot of things, but some things that I think we can work on. Now, I also want to talk about the fact that as I go out and knock on the doors, it's not just my platform, right? Because it's great to sell a vision to the people and talk to them about what you see the community should have, right? But it's also good to hear what the community concerns are, and that's why I'm knocking on doors and making phone calls to voters. And let me just mention, the biggest concern for voters, at least outside of Rochdale Village and maybe some of the NYCHA developments, is private homeowner property tax.
Yes.
And the property taxes for private homeowners has gone up every single year.
Every single year, absolutely.
What people don't realize is right here in South Jamaica, we are paying more in property tax than people in Belrose and in Park Slope where they have millionaires.
Wow.
But why is that?
It's crazy. It's the formula, right? So something's got to be done with the formula because it doesn't jibe. It doesn't make any sense, right? I've talked to Mayor de Blasio about it. Mayor de Blasio said, because he lives in Park Slope, and he said, you're right. Like, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I don't know. I spoke to the governor about it a few months ago on a Zoom that was conducted by one of the local elected officials. And she said, well, what concerns you have? And as a Democratic district leader, I said, well, listen, the big concern for homeowners in my community is property taxes. Oh, yes, we got to do something about it. Take care of this. I said, well, I don't know what the plan is to deal with this, Governor. And Governor Hochul said, well, I'm gonna rectify it this year. I'm gonna take care of it. And I remember thinking to myself, but what about next year? And my campaign manager's on the side here, and he says, what about next year? I said, I know, I'm thinking the same thing. So if nobody's bringing up this issue of property tax and home ownership and how it is sometimes to the point where people can't pay their property taxes, so they lose their homes, especially our seniors who are on limited income.
Yes.
Right.
If nobody's dealing with this is a real issue that could plague our community for years to come. We already have more homeless seniors than we've ever had in our community.
Yes.
It's an issue that's not discussed. It's like almost taboo. We have more homeless than we've ever had in this community.
Yeah, I see that every day. Don't you, Glenn?
We do. And we also are losing our generational wealth because the taxes then puts a lien, and then the family loses the house.
Yes.
Or doesn't know even that the lien is in play.
Absolutely.
And so we're really impacting. Well, let me back up for a second.
Okay.
Because I don't know if the listeners really understand. So there's the Senate and there's Assembly, and they are responsible for creating the laws that actually impact as you said, the quality of life
Yes.
for that particular state, and of course for that particular jurisdiction. So
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, so people think that, more locality when you're in the city council, right? It's more
Right.
city services, right? So you're really impacting, your constituency in that area. And sometimes you're passing laws, obviously, that may impact people throughout the city, obviously. Same thing for the state.
Yes.
Except that you're passing laws that impact people throughout the state. And with the state, you can also, like Senator Leroy Comrie, he chairs the Transportation Committee for the Senate, right? So he can impact things like the Long Island Railroad, and that's what you have
Huge impact.
huge impact on things like the Long Island Railroad, right? So in the Assembly, it's the same thing. You can sit on committees that impact, people throughout the state, not just the city.
Okay.
Wide-ranging issues. Property tax is just one of these issues that needs to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed for people in Southeast Queens in particular.
Right.
I mean, I'm
And
sure
that's who you're advocating for.
absolutely right. I'm sure the people upstate or maybe in Long Island may have some problems, but I know for a fact that our residents are paying more than millionaires in Park Slope,
Yeah.
which is absurd.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not a one-time fix, right? So I said to myself, so who's going to advocate for those constituents next year? Because the governor's running for re-election this year. So she's listening.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying she may not listen next year to the Democratic district leader, but less likely for the Democratic district leader to have a platform to speak to her next year than this year when she's running and she wanted to hear all of our concerns.
Absolutely.
But if I'm the assembly person next year, then the governor has no choice but to hear me because I'm going to be sitting with her in Albany.
In Albany, right.
Yes.
Right.
And I'll walk over to her office and say, Governor, or whoever is going to be the governor, whether it be Tom Suozzi or Chamani Williams, whoever, I'll be able to say, Governor, this is a real issue in my community, and we need to have it addressed. So that's a big issue, right? Yeah. Huge issue. Property taxes. For the NYCHA residents, we need to make sure that NYCHA is fully funded. Now, there's, legislation that's being passed right now that they think will assist with funding, so it'll take it out the federal government's hands, and there will be some bonds floated. And listen, all I know is that we have people with repairs that have not been addressed in years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this new trust fund that's setting up. Everybody thinks it's a great idea, and maybe it is. But I know that the majority of tenant association presidents, including ours here at South Jamaica Houses, Manny and I've talked about it. He said, I don't believe in that, man. I don't believe, we shuffle, it's like we're playing 3-card money, we're shuffling the cards again. Right. What we need to do is to make sure that the state makes sure that the federal government pays their obligation.
Right.
I walked into some of the houses in my NYCHA developments in our community. And it's not just South Jamaica. I mean, we've got like 5 NYCHA developments in this district. People don't realize that. They think it's Baisley Houses, rather, which is next to Cedar Manor, which is a co-op, and South Jamaica Houses. But we have like 5. So I walked into some of these places, and I walked into one apartment because the woman said, I want you to come in and see this, Dr. Andrews. And she showed me where she has her son fixing the apartment. They're spending their own money because the repairs are not being done by NYCHA, and they've got holes so that rodents are coming in these holes. Mm-hmm. So she said, I'd rather have my son and for us to spend our own money when NYCHA is supposed to be fixing these apartments. The repairs are not being done. The repairs that are being done are often substandard.
Right.
So you have some people that are actually spending their own money when they should have their apartments fixed by law. Right. Repairs should be made. So it's not just a matter of repairs taking time to be made and the repairs being done. Sometimes they're sub-adequate, not even adequate, sub-adequate, so that people are forced to make the repairs themselves just to be able to live comfortably in their homes.
Dr. Andrews, I want to say something because you mentioned NYCHA, but I really don't care. I live in a Section 8 complex, Baisley Gardens, and it's similar as to what you're talking about with the things that is wrong. Like I have a leak in my bathroom that's going into my bedroom, and I have to call somebody. Call them like 5-6 times and still nothing. And I mean, they're subsidized. This is by the city and the state, Section 8 and so forth. It's just like NYCHA, basically. Yep. And, people live there, decent people, and we have to put up with these type of situations. And as you said, we have to fix it. I know I haven't had a paint job in over 12 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to have to get a painter to come in and paint and so forth and so forth. So this is what you're saying is very true. And I want the listeners to realize that people in Southeast Queens and all over with NYCHA and Section 8 and all this, we're going through a lot.
Absolutely. And you know, so you've got to be able to hold the landlords accountable, right?
Right.
I live in a rent-stabilized apartment, right? I'm an apartment dweller. I don't have a home. I sold my family home a few years ago, right?
Oh, okay.
By myself, walking through that big house was a little lonely. So everybody's out the house. My last one's in college, a little bit lonely. So I said, you know, I don't need anything more than a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. So I moved into a rent-stabilized apartment. You know, just getting things addressed, as you say, sometimes is difficult, right? This last torrential downpour, I had, you know, water coming through my ceiling. And so, you know, they had to do some pointing outside. And I said, well, when's the inside going to be fixed up, the ceiling and everything else? Well, it's going to take some time. Air conditioner went the other day, about 2 weeks ago. They brought air conditioner. Oh, sorry, this is not the right air conditioner. We got to return this one. We got to get the right one. Well, how long? Don't know. It's going to be ordered. But we suggest you put on a couple of fans because they're not paying for the extra electricity I'm using, right?
No.
But I'm in these 90-degree temperatures on Zoom meetings, right, with no air conditioning in my living room.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to hold the landlords accountable for some of this stuff. So when I went through a lot of interviews with good government groups, they said, you know, are you supported by big realtors, big real estate, or landlords? No, not very much. I mean, I have very few people who, I don't have the big dollars coming to me. We are able to raise somewhere between $150,000 and $160,000. We didn't have big real estate developers or landlords.
Grassroots.
We had
grassroots.
a lot of grassroots support. A lot of people have known me throughout the years.
Yeah.
I'm going to be beholden to those people in these apartments and the tenants who are concerned about being evicted. Because my community has more apartment buildings than people would imagine. I think if you come up past Archer Avenue now, you can begin to see the culture of my district changing. There's nothing but apartment buildings up here, whether it be rent-stabilized apartments, whether it be condos, whether it be co-ops. Starting with South Jamaica houses, nothing but apartment dwellers.
Right.
So I've got to be concerned with protecting those apartment dwellers in addition to the private homeowners and making sure that there's some property tax relief for those private homeowners.
But you know something also that I'm concerned about with all these apartments that are going up, they say affordable, okay, and then it's not. You know, when a person makes, say, $30,000, $40,000 a year, and your rent is going to be $3,000, it's not affordable.
Absolutely. You know, I've walked into some of these senior housing complexes, and I won't mention any names.
Yeah.
Can you imagine me walking in a senior housing complex and seeing an apartment that is for $2,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment? I can't afford that.
That's insane.
That is insane. And this is a senior apartment dwelling.
Right.
We have a lot of seniors that are not living in affordable housing right now. It's going to happen, right? So families are assisting them with this Social Security, whatever pension, they're spending all their money. And so that's no wonder we have so many homeless and hungry seniors now.
Yes, we
If you're
do.
paying $2,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment, maybe your son is coming and helping you out, and that's why, because you may need some help as you get older. For a 1-bedroom, $1,800.
That's why you see so many elderly at the food co-ops.
Co-ops, yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting subsidized,
Food pantries
trying to get some extra
Absolutely.
groceries out of the mix.
Absolutely. This is absurd. So you're right, Pauline. Truly affordable housing we do not have, right?
No.
So I want to be able to work with some responsible developers to develop some truly affordable housing in this community. But we need to fix the area median income, right?
Absolutely.
The area median income is absurd because you include Westchester and Nassau County with Southeast Queens.
And Manhattan.
And Manhattan, right?
And Manhattan.
So it's not just New York City, I should say, right? But
Okay.
you're upstate, right? We're including Westchester and Nassau County. So of course the income is higher, right, in those areas. So the median income becomes higher. So affordable is not truly affordable.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the problem. And I want to go upstate and I want to work on that. I want to see if we can work on that. And maybe we can reduce the area. So an area shouldn't be an area that includes, for us, Nassau County and Westchester. I'm not even sure we should include Park Slope. Let's make
Exactly.
right. Let's make the area median income Southeast Queens. Let's make a community board 12.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's stop there and
If
say
you
that's the area.
localize, if you're able to localize
Yes.
it, then you have a true medium for that particular community.
Absolutely right, Glenn.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I really like what your policy is, what you're going after, because it's very much needed, Dr. Andrews. Very much needed.
Thank you, Paula. You know, going back to the work that Glenn's been doing on the Strip, right? And I just want to talk about this because this is big for me. We need to revitalize our economic corridors. Glenn's been doing a great job here on Suffolk Boulevard. Further down Suffolk Boulevard, he can only do so much. You know, further down Suffolk Boulevard, we got to address that, right?
Yes.
Because further down, all the work that Glenn's been doing up here is going to be significant, right? Because this is where we have people coming in from out of the country, out of the state, coming in to do the shopping at Jamaica Avenue, right?
Right.
But the work that's being done below Liberty Avenue, right? That's just as important. We have to do more work on the rest of the corridors, Suffolk Boulevard, and Rockaway Boulevard, and Guy Brewer Boulevard. None of those strips in those areas looks anything like, let's say, from Farmers Boulevard to the Cross Island Parkway. Look at that strip. Look at that corridor. The facades are beautiful.
Yes.
Doctors, attorneys, accountants, all have businesses there. If we want to grow our black businesses, our communities of color have to work on revitalizing the economic corridors. Used to be a time we knew the businesses in the community. You go to the corner store, and Mr. Cherry was there on 119th Avenue. He had a record store across the street. Mr. Jerry's had a grocery store down the block.
Yeah.
We got to get more of our businesses back onto the corridors, because once those businesses go back onto the corridors, a lot of those people are not going to try to drive too far to go to work.
Right.
So then some of those business owners will live in our community. How do you create economic wealth in our community when you have the businesses who we don't even know who they are, let alone where they live? Most of them don't live in our community.
No, and sometimes they don't even speak English properly. So when you go into, I'm sorry to say that, but when you go in to ask them, about help or stuff like,
How do you get them to understand that you need support for different things in the community? We used to be able to go into those stores, ask for, you're having a cookout, you're having a Boy Scout event, you're having an event for your church.
A football, baseball team.
Baseball team, Little League, right? Help buy the uniforms, right?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes, yeah.
That's what we used to have. That's part of building a community.
Right.
That's part of unifying a community. The help and assistance that you get from those small businesses on the corridors, right? But so I was at an event, I don't know, a few years ago, in Richmond Hill. And one of the businessmen there, said, Tony, I like what you do, and we appreciate and respect what you've done. I mean, everybody knows the work you've done over here. Everybody knows that you were the person who built the Smoky Oval softball cricket field. I did that with the assistance of Parks and Recreation and Councilmember Thomas White Jr., something they asked for. We didn't have a cricket field over here in Southeast Queens at all.
No.
That was the first softball cricket field that we built. And I was responsible for that. Everybody knows what you did, he says. But the business people are concerned that a lot of times the elected officials from on your side of the Van Wyck come over here and get a lot of money for our campaigns, because we have businesses along this Liberty Avenue strip, right?
Sure.
This corridor. And we don't mind supporting, but we don't feel that we get as much for our buck. The bang for the buck is not the same. I mean, you guys get a lot more over there than we get over here. He says, so let me tell you, one of your colleagues came over and asked the other day, he said, listen, a few months ago, actually, he said, he came over and said, okay, it's time for my re-election. I need your support. He said, okay, listen, I tell you what, because we've been talking about this as business people along this Liberty Avenue strip. You go on the other side of the Van Wyck, and you collect money from the businesses over there, and then you come over here and we'll match it. So the elected official says, okay, great, I'll do that. So he goes and he leaves and he comes back in about a month. He's okay, I'm back. He says, okay, what did you get from the other side? He said, well, nothing. He said, well, that's what you're going to get from this side.
oh my God.
He said, you know what the problem is, Tony? I said, what? He said, the problem is in our community in Richmond Hill, a lot of Indo-Caribbeans, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have an economic corridor where we develop wealth and we circulate the wealth within our community. The money circulates.
Mm-hmm.
It stays here. So we can afford to give money outside if we want, because we circulate and support our own. On the other side of the Van Wyck Expressway, the money leaves your community at 4 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do we build our economic mechanism for power if we don't own the corridors? If we don't have the businesses there that can support the things that we need in our community. Because the government is not the answer all the time.
No. And that was the power of Wall Street.
Absolutely right.
Black
Absolutely
Wall
right.
Street.
Yes.
That dollar circulated for 2 years inside of that community. That's why they were able to accumulate all that wealth. And they had all the businesses. You had the lawyers,
Yes.
the doctors,
Yes.
the insurance people, the grocery stores,
Absolutely.
all of those things. Yeah.
Anthony, is there any way possible that type of lifestyle can come back to this area?
Well, I believe so. First of all, I think, to get the businesses started again, something we've been talking about for years, and Jim Heiliger has been a mentor of mine, Association of Minority Enterprises in New York, Albany. And Jim is something he wanted to do for years, and actually had the support and wherewithal to do at one point, and then, the rug was kind of pulled out from under him by an elected official at the last minute, whose name will go nameless right here on this show.
Okay.
But Jim actually had a deal in place to get about $2 million to set up a business incubator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A manufacturing.
And a remanufacturing plant, too.
Yes, a remanufacturing, yeah.
So we had an opportunity to have remanufacturing right here in our community, which would have brought so many jobs and so many opportunities for us to remanufacture goods right here in our community. Mm. And we had an opportunity to have a business incubator. And the business incubator, the idea was all set, it was floated, it was great, and the money was there, and the money was diverted to someplace else.
Oh, wow.
The remanufacturing was going to be right at York College. Mm. And the money never got to York College for whatever reason. An incubator, a business incubator at right in the middle of Southeast Queens would be incredible. You'd have a building where people would be able to come and start their businesses. Entrepreneurs would be able to come and share resources with other entrepreneurs. They would be able to grow their business basically in this building and get grants and get loans, resources from the government that would assist them, and then share resources with other businesses. So you barter as opposed to buying, right? Mm-hmm. And when you grow your business to the point where it's strong enough, then we can move them out onto the corridors. Then we move them out to Sutphin Boulevard, Rockaway Boulevard, Guy Brewer Boulevard. Listen, I want Sutphin, Guy Brewer, and Rockaway Boulevard all to look like Merrick Boulevard from Home Depot, approximately Farmers Boulevard, or Springfield Boulevard, down to the Cross Island Parkway. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. None of those strips look anything like that.
No, as a matter of fact, when I'm on Sutphin Boulevard, I feel so depressed. I mean, it's like I have friends that say, "Oh, you live there?"
Well, you're right. South of Liberty, that's kind of the line of demarcation, and you see it. I mean, there's not a lot of attention, but as you said earlier, the money is not coming back into the community. Right. And we've got so many young people with great ideas that are looking to do things. And the other part that I get excited about, if we can create manufacturing, JFK is right up the street.
Absolutely.
So we could ship it literally over around the world.
Absolutely.
If we needed to,
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's such a rich, abundant resource that Southeast Queens is, given the talent that's here, given the location and the possibilities of being able to use that to mushroom out to the rest of the state, the country, and the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Glenn. And why wouldn't it be done here, right? We have, JFK Airport, which is the gateway to the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be here? JFK International.
Yeah. Everybody comes through here.
Everybody.
And the Long Island Railroad with the train. People back and forth. I mean, it's endless.
Absolutely.
All different races.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to say you're listening to Our World Media, and we have our guest, Dr. Anthony Andrews, today, and I'm so happy. Don't forget to subscribe to Our World Media Network, and also Facebook.com, Our World Media #1. And don't forget also to check us out on WGJSradio.com. That's very important. And what's the phone number to WGJS?
Well, you can call in at 347-410-8077.
Yes, we have a great conversation going on. What else do you like to talk about, Glenn?
Well, I wanted to make sure that Dr. Andrews gives his website and contact information if people want to support him.
Okay, great.
And then give us the date of the primary.
Okay, great. So it's andrewsforprogress.com, andrewsforprogress.com. That's the website. You can, anytime you want, reach out, take a look at my platform. You can reach us on email also, andrewsforprogress@gmail.com. And if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to us one of those ways. You can definitely volunteer by sending me an email. If you send us an email, we will put you in contact with our volunteer coordinator, Elder Aisha Jagazar, and she'll reach out to you and talk to you about the campaign and about what you can do. We've got limited time to go. We are really close. We are, heading into early voting. Early voting starts on the 18th, from the 18th to the 26th. So we're approximately 15 days, approximately 2 weeks to go before early voting starts. And, of course, we then have primary day, which is, of course, June 28th.
Right.
Big day. So if you want to get involved, time to get involved is right now.
Right now.
Right now.
And where are people able to go and vote if they wanted to?
Their local polling site. I want to make sure that I don't tell them the wrong polling site. If you want to do early voting, it's York College and Rochdale Village in our community.
Okay.
Right? Otherwise, go to your polling site and make sure you check your mail, because sometimes they switch polling sites.
Yes, they do.
At the very last minute, and you go to one and then you're frustrated and you can't get to the other one. It's too late. So make sure you check your mail, everyone, to make sure that you get to the right polling site on that day.
Yeah. Okay. All right, listeners. Hey, this has been a great show. I hope it's been inspirational to my listeners. Glenn, how can people reach you and so forth?
They can always reach me at Sutphen Boulevard, BID, and the number is 718-291-2110. So give us a call, and don't forget to come out and vote. The primary is June 28th, and as Dr. Andrews says, early voting will be starting shortly. The 18th, you said?
18th. Can I mention the social media sites also?
Please.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
please.
Andrews for Progress, Facebook, and Andrews for Progress on Instagram. Also, District Leader Dr. Anthony Andrews on one of our other Facebook sites. So you can always get us by Andrews for Progress or District Leader Dr. Anthony Andrews, Andrews for Assembly. We have now knocked on, just to finalize this, over 9,000 doors. We are closing in on 10,000 doors. We believe that we are the only candidate that has ever done that in Southeast Queens before. And we believe that the reason that we have been so successful in our outreach is because of our personal contact with voters. We have made 34,000 phone calls, over 9,000 doors. We reached out to people. We believe that that signals that we are working hard to our supporters and to the people in our community, and that's the type of work that we will continue to do once we are elected.
Excellent. We're looking forward.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes.
Good luck. Lots of luck,
you.
and get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
Voting counts. Your vote matters, especially in the primaries.
Yes. And you've been listening to Our World, Our Power. Don't forget also to check us out on WGJSradio.com. And I'm Lady Pauline. Catch you next time.